Hey friends, it's your pal Mike Shea from Sly Flourish here with an episode of Sly Flourish's Lazy GM Prep. In this weekly show, I go through steps from Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master while preparing for my Sunday role-playing game. In this case, I am running a Tales of the Valiant game set in the world of Midgard called Scourge of the Dragon Empire. This show, like all of the work of Sly Flourish, is brought to you by the patrons of Sly Flourish. Patrons get access to the awesome 5e artisanal database, a whole bunch of scenarios to run in your games, tips, tricks, access to our wonderful Discord community, and you help me put on shows like this. To the patrons of Sly Flourish, thank you so much for your outstanding support. My Midgard Scourge of the Dragon Empire game is in an interesting spot. So the characters have infiltrated the lower chambers of the Colosseum of the Red Sun, which is an abandoned Colosseum that has been taken over by creatures from the void. The Dragon Empire, particularly the artifact hunters of the Dragon Morza Adasha, have been trying to find various artifacts, and they were trying to break in down here, but instead they found that there are alien horrors from the void that have taken over this place and were unsuccessful. The characters faced and defeated these artifact hunters, including a young blue dragon artifact hunter named Black Star, something like that, and killed him. So the Dragon Empire is now not there. Then they have made their way down through the city, faced some alien horrors along the way, including like weird giant worms with too many eye stalks, and these strange alien creatures that gestate out of humanoid bodies. They sort of form out of humanoid bodies. Kind of like Alien, a little bit like Alien. And they're being led by an entity known as Din. Din is, I've been referring to as a sand aboleth. Like the sand aboleth is my own little tag for it, but in the description in the world, it's not going to be anything. But I think it will be like an alien horror. I have kind of a funny interaction that I think I'm going to have with it, which is I happen to have a copy of Knock, the RPG zine, old school RPG zine called Knock. And one of the covers for Knock, I think it's issue 2. Here's the cover. I said, I have a feeling that this is what the creature will look like, which is cool because it's sort of aboleth-like. It's got the 3 eyes and everything like that. And my thought is that when they face Din's weird worm-like visage will shape itself like this sort of skull with dripping flesh and 3 eyes, and it'll say, I have taken on this shape to be more amenable to your humanoid sensibilities. And they're like, I don't think it's working. Like, you don't look humanoid at all. So it's doing like I have shaped myself in order to make you more comfortable during our conversations. And they're like, yeah, not so much. You look like Toad in Raiders of the Lost Ark. So I thought that would be a kind of a funny thing that I'm going to do. So the characters are about halfway through the tombs beneath the Colosseum of the Red Sun, and they're probably going to face Din, and then the next, and we're going to figure out like what comes from that, and then I need to know where they're going to go next, and that's really where I have been spending a little bit of time, and I did some homework on it. So I did some homework on it to try to think about what are the next sets of quests that I want the characters to go on. So I'm going to get rid of that because that cover is really gruesome. There we go. Nice. There's a nice picture of Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master. Nice Lich enjoying her game. So yeah, so I'm thinking about where the campaign is going to, with a loose handle on where the campaign is going is something that I've been doing a little bit of work on. And we're going to do a little bit more work on that today as well. But I did do some homework on it of thinking like, what do I think would be like 3 good quests that I can put in front of the characters so that when they're done with this, where are they going next? And then there's some other like big steps of things that I think are more than just like an optional quest for them. They're things that I know the players are very interested in doing, and then things that I think will really kind of propel the game forward. The characters are 8th level now. They just hit 8th level, so we're getting pretty high level, right? We're closing in on tier 2. We're closing in on the end of tier 2, which is pretty crazy. I'm actually running and the 8th, it's funny because I'm running 3 games and 8th level is my lowest level game. I have a 16th level game in my Wednesday game and I think a 14th or 15th level game for my every other Wednesday game. So like it's I'm running a lot of high level games, which is a bit much, right? Like running high level games is a bit much. So we're going to jump over to Obsidian, where I do my prep. If you want to learn more about using Obsidian for game prep, including a template, you can find a link down in the show notes below. Let's see. So we'll start by looking at last session's notes. So what we're going to do is we're going to create new notes right now, and we're a Dragon Empire template. I got a bunch of people out because it's Gen Con week, and so a handful of players are out for Gen Con. So I have 4 or 5 players today. I don't know. One player is iffy, and then I have 4 players that are going to be coming over in person. And then some other people are doing some summer stuff. So it might be a slightly lighter crew today. Amavin is questionable. Gaudenzia is... No, Gaudenzia is in. Cal is in. Mateo is in. I know Tolstoy is out, and I know Emmert is out. Okay, so that's the potential 5. Okay, those are the potential 5. Those are the potential 5 characters. So I've got that. I already know my strong start. A big Chul charges at the characters because that's where it ended. So I remember where the game ended, and the game ended where they were getting charged by a Chul. And which is, a Chul is not a big threat for 5 8th level characters. So I'm going to beef up the Chul a little bit. I'll probably give it some more hit points. I might give it a couple of Doom points so that it gets some extra attacks and stuff like that. You know, I mean, Doom, I'll tell you, like Doom points and Dreadful Blessings, I call them Dreadful Blessings because that's what I use in my own game, and I expand them to do all kinds of things. They're a great way of taking a single monster and making it a solid threat because you can cheat, right? Like you as a GM can use those to do just about anything. So, so we've got that going. But yeah, let's take a look at the last session's notes. We're going to open those up in a new tab. And then since I'm here, I'm going to go to campaign support and I'm going to open those up in a new tab. And maybe NPCs and maybe characters. We'll open up a bunch of tabs here. Okay. So last time, they started getting attacked by Mortovermises, which are those giant, they're like giant worm things. Not a terrible hard fight. These characters can hammer out damage. They're really throwing out a lot of damage. And I remember that I was talking about giving one of the characters they're a mechanist, and I was going to give them something that added extra damage onto their attacks. Well, they already get extra damage on their attacks by class options, and I don't need them to have 3d6 damage 4 times per turn, which is what they can do now. So I think we're going to change some of those. We're going to change that up a little bit. That was an item I was considering dropping in here, some kind of psychic thing from Din. But I think we're going to change that to something else because more damage for the guy that's doing the most damage to the group is probably not what we really want to do. In fact, giving them options for things to do other than just hammering out damage every turn is probably good. Anyway, they fought 2 Mortovermises, and I had one that appeared right away and attacked right away. Then all the players went, and they managed to kill that one before the second one even showed up. So then the second one showed up, they all switched and killed that one. So it wasn't like an anticlimactic fight. They still really didn't like it. They still thought it was really kind of a gruesome thing, but it was certainly not hard. Then they went through the trap rooms. And they saw, and I had one of the players sent me a very nice note saying like it was really kind of interesting to see the layers of history of this place, that it had been used as a gladiatorial arena for the goblins that were here before the Dragon Empire and was largely like for showmanship. It wasn't brutal. And then, of course, the dragons came and turned it into a site of execution and, gruesome executions. And they could see that by the various apparatuses that were there. And then realizing like, okay, that they could see that kind of history of what was going on. So they enjoyed that. So they had not fully, even here I had like my 5 scenes and we did not get through even half of those scenes, which is totally fine. So we have some extra scenes here, which I'm just going to grab because all these scenes are still scenes that we're going to run. In fact, I'll grab I think like the trap rooms, the information I have about the trap rooms here is now outdated. Whoops, this is under scenes because they saw that stuff. So I'll probably put more, when I'll put in the locations, I'll put more trap rooms, but I am going to put in next steps here. And then we're going to drop in those 3 potential quests that they pick up next. And then that's something that I definitely need to do today because I think they could get to that point today. So I want to have a good idea of what are the next things that I can put in front of the players, and then they can choose one of them to do. And I think I've got 3 interesting ones, and then I've got definitely big ideas for the ones that they're going to do after that set. So I've got sort of 3 quests now. They'll probably do a couple of those, and then I have the next set of 3. I think are going to have some big events going on. At that point, they'll be probably tier 3, and in tier 3, we're really going to start to escalate this campaign, where the Morza, the dragons themselves, are going to start getting involved. So that's some of what we need to fill out today. Let's take a look at our secrets and clues here. Followers of Din worship the Father Midnight Sun, also known as the Black Goat who whisper in the woods. That's a good secret. The Fae folk believe the Black Goat. That's a good one. Jedva, Steelthorn, Wizard King, Goblin ruled over Coppervein. This is really good. They did not learn this. Jedva was loved by his people and interred beneath the Colosseum. That's good. It said that Jedva traveled across the lands. That's good. Din fears extinction. These are all, God. Din fears extinction and fights this fear by spreading its brood to humanoids. Din wants to infect large cities. Din needs to infect humans directly, which is the only reason the insatiable brood hasn't spread. If there isn't a prime satyr host, one of the insatiable brood becomes one like Din. Din has started to create carriers who can spread brood further. Some insatiable brood grow massive in size, becoming Chul. All these secrets are solid, and I don't know that I revealed any, hardly any of these secrets last time. So we may be really solid on secrets, which is good because then we can spend some time on other things, right? Like the fact that I have all these, are there all of these still relevant? Yes, this is still relevant. These are all still relevant. The question of like how they, so we need a name instead of Aboleth. Like what is, so that we could call him a Sedaya Prime. So what are the creatures called? There's no human name for it that your mind would be able to hold on to that wouldn't be destroyed. Satyr. They call themselves the Satyr. And Din is what is known as a Satyr Prime, a commander of Satyr and controller of the brood. Then this Din needs to infect humans directly, which is the only reason the insatiable brood haven't spread too far. Din has an offspring who may be able to spread the brood faster and seeks to implant it in a nearby city. That's pretty good. So that way we'll get Din started to create carriers who can spread the brood further. We'll get rid of that one. Some insatiable brood grow massive in size. That one's actually right up front because they're seeing one of those right away. So those are all pretty good. For fantastic location, this set of like quick things, that is fun. Palindrome says, call it a Thaloba. What is a Thaloba? Where'd you get that name from? Oh, because it's Aboleth backwards? Yeah, somebody might figure that out. I just figured it out. And I don't want to tie it to an Aboleth. I want it to be kind of its own thing. I'm using the Aboleth, but I don't want it to really be an Aboleth. Tapestries of Gate Contrasts. I think there's also Tapestries of the World or Mosaics, right? What's the call? In my own article, what are the paintings, beautiful paintings on walls are what, murals? Vibrant murals of Jedva, frescoes. Yeah. So there's another trick here. Another question I have is the Helm of Teleportation. Is there a connection between the Helm of Teleportation and Din, right? And is there a reason why, like, Din cannot use it? Because, it'd be really great for Din if Din could teleport around and plant these insatiable broods and stuff like this. But I think there might be something of like, the creatures of Din, they can't teleport like that. They just explode, right? They cannot form. So yeah, it doesn't fit, right? The helm doesn't fit. But I think like there's something about when they use magic to try to teleport, it doesn't work. They sort of break apart, but this new one can. So maybe this idea of the new offspring can teleport. It's because they evolve around the world that they've got. That could be kind of an interesting thing. Din wants to use the Helm of Teleportation, but it doesn't work for them. Din hopes to breed a new Satyr Prime that can use the helm. Yeah, if they use the void, if they're from the void, any teleportation automatically draws them back to the void. That can be bad. And that the Helm of Teleportation itself might have been what called them the void That could be kind of an interesting. Was a beacon of the meteorite. The helm itself was a beacon of the meteorite that brought Din and the Satyr to the, what's this place called? Copper Vein. It's a lot of secrets, but that's all good. NPC-wise, we had an NPC who wandered around here, and it might be a good time to have the NPC. So secret scene-wise, we could have Big Chul charges the characters meeting Sophie Frostlover. I think we're going to change Sophie. First of all, the name Sophie is not. I think I want to change them into they're a follower of Mott. So let's change our NPC here a bit. We're going to go to our NPC generator. And I've got a reason, which is this is an opportunity for me to plant a future quest. Erd's Doom Viper. This is perfect. Dwarf Exile. Yeah. See, love it. Sorry, Sophie. Bye-bye. Boom. He's Doom Viper. Deep Dwarf. He's a Deep Dwarf. That's interesting. A Deep Dwarf Exile and follower of Mott with uneven teeth who dresses plainly and wants to get a job. That part doesn't really matter too much. And they don't want to put a monster to sleep. Wants to rescue his captured friends of the children of Mott. So this plants a new quest, which is that Adasha has captured a large group of these children of Mott and is probably taking them to be executed. And the characters can go and rescue the children of Mott, and then they have this sort of group of anti-dragon assassin types, that Mott hates dragons. So they're this mean, this really mean group of dragon hunters that could then be friends and allies of the characters. I think that'd be a lot of fun. So I think they're going to meet Erdemes, and I think that'll be right after I think that Erdemes will have avoided the Chul. So put that here. Erdemes Doom Viper, Deep Dwarf, Child of Mott. That'll be a good scene. We can look at the map too. Let's take a look at the map, because I think we narrow down where they can go, which means we can do a better job of filling in locations because we know what they've already covered. Let us go to Dragon Empire and campaigns maps. There we go. So they're now in this so they've still got a few rooms that they could explore, but they're probably going to go here, and then there's that upper room to the upper right, and then they're probably going to the main chamber. I wouldn't be surprised if those are the three chambers they're most likely to hit. There is this little secret chamber off to the right, and we could certainly have some fun with that. That's probably a vault. So let's write our notes for the locations, assuming that order. So we have Pillars of Gladiatorial Heroes. That's the room they're in now. Then we'll have Hidden Treasure Vault. And let's see, we'll move these right here so that what I really ought to do is get that in another window. That's why I've got multiple windows. There we go. So we got this room with pillars. That's where they're going to face the Chul. They got this hallway. I mean, that's a good place for murals and stuff like that to see. Then they've got this sort of junction chamber in the upper right. And what could we put there? That's not the alien fungus breeding pool. They are probably past the chambers that hold gladiatorial stuff. This is a chamber that leads to the crypt of the wizard. So it could just have murals in here. Oh, it could be a chamber of ossuaries. So I think we'll do ossuaries of heroes. And then the crypt of Jedva. And we're probably going to do a separate location because I know they're going here. So what's some of the stuff that's going on here? We could have swirling sands as one of the features of this tomb. Sinkhole could be another aspect of the tomb. They have two raised platforms, ornate pillars. I think probably on the northern side of this is where the sarcophagus is. I don't know if we'll bother to have this little separate chamber off to the right. If they don't go to the treasured vault, which I think is unlikely, that would be or that could be the room with the helm, right? He could have the helm in there. Is there any other, I guess those are three good features of that. The chamber of the helm. And we'll keep this other list just to give us some inspiration, but I don't think we need it. I don't think we need it very much. And then monsters. So we know we want Chul because they're going to face one now. If we go to our monster vault, we can look up for Chul. Chuls are on page 70. Whoops. We know we have Din, the Satyr Prime, which is actually an aboleth. And the aboleth is going to be on page 48. We should probably take a look at its stat block too. We'll do that in a second. We're going to probably throw some more Satyr at them because I think I'm going to mix the Satyr with the Chul. Instead, I was going to do like 4 Chul, but I think I'll do 2 Chul and 2 Satyr to kind of shake things up a little bit. And they have these Satyr destroyers who can do necrotic bolts. Those are pretty good. So we'll do Satyr destroyers, and those are on page 287. So if we have the lazy encounter benchmark today, they're 8th level. If there's 4 of them, the benchmark is 16. If they have 5 characters, it's 20. So the lazy encounter benchmark is somewhere between 16 and 20 total CRs. The Chul are 5s, I think. I think this is going to be pretty tough, but I've seen them tearing things up, so I think they're probably going to be okay. I think the Chul is missing from their table of contents. That's pretty funny. Chuls are CR4, so that's not so bad. 2 Chuls would be 8. The aboleth is CR10. The Satyr destroyers are CR3s. So if we do 2 Chul, that's 8. That's 18. And then 2 Satyr destroyers would be 24. So we'd be above the deadly threshold. But I've seen them tearing things up. I think they're going to be okay. So we're gonna shoot for that. If there's only 4, I might remove a Chul. We'll see. I'll ponder that. Let's take a look at the Lith stat block, which is probably the more complicated stat block. It is legendary, so that's noteworthy. So this is the Tales of the Valiant Aboleth. So CR10, AC 17, 165 hit points. And I don't see any notable things in its other stats. Resistance, charm, frightened, paralyzed, stunned, has advantage in saving throws against spells and effects that would alter its form. Okay, that's probably not going to come in. It's got 3 legendary resistances. We're probably going to convert those to dreadful blessings. Can see and communicate telepathically. If a creature that Aboleth can see communicates telepathically with the Aboleth learns the creature's greatest desires. That's interesting. What do you seek? So I think it's possible, will the question about what they do here. Probing telepath, slime pox, characterized by slimy pustules that erupt across the victim's body. Slime pox is a disease that infects creatures, attacks the Aboleth that comes into contact. Till the disease cures, the infected creature can breathe air and water, can't regain hit points except when underwater. It takes 6 acid damage for every hour it remains outside of water without moisture. So we're going to remove this, but instead of the slime pox, it will be like the infection, like the Satyr infection. And that if you have it more than, let's see, every 24 hours that elapses, it can infect you to make a DC 16 charisma save. On 3 failed saves, I think you explode and turn into brood, right? So we're going to change the slime pox part of this into a disease that can turn you into a host for insatiable brood. Yeah, that could be kind of interesting. Slimy skin, blah, blah, blah. A creature that touches the Aboleth or hits it with a melee attack within 5 feet must make a DC 16 con save or become infected with slime pox. Yeah, that's scary. Multi-attack makes 3 tentacle or psychic bolt attacks. If 2 tentacles hit one target, the target must succeed a DC 16 con save or contact the slime pox. So you're very likely to get infected by this thing. Tentacle is +9 to hit, 15 bludgeoning damage. Psychic bolt is +8 to hit for 14 damage, psychic damage. Psychic torrent, Aboleth floods the minds of up to 3 creatures it can see. With random horrific memories, DC 16 makes 49 psychic damage and incapacitated till the end of its next turn, as its mind reels from the torrent of images, thoughts, and memories. On a success, the creature takes half damage and isn't. Woo! Legendary actions. Detect automatically detects every creature entrapped within 60 feet, pinpointing current location, so you cannot sneak it. Swim. Aboleth swims up to half its speed without provoking opportunity attacks. That will be like a sand drain. Slime drain. Creature infected with slime pox within 30 feet of the Aboleth takes 10 acid damage and the Aboleth regains hit points. And that costs 2 actions. So its damage output is actually all on its turn. And the infection. It's actually kind of low on damage, right? So it's like, assuming it does that, it's about 55 damage at CR10. But I guess that psychic torrent is really a lot. So I guess when you balance that out, it's probably about right. But I could always give it dreadful blessings where it can make more tentacle attacks if it's not being very effective. I think they'll be okay. So that'll be scary. I think that'll be fun. And the idea that like you're continually getting hit with this disease, it's going to infect a lot of people. They're going to be infected by this thing. And it will know their greatest desire. So I think, and this is where like things are going to get interesting. I think that Din would like to negotiate with the characters to spread it to one of the Dragon Empire cities. And whether they kill it or not, they will gain access to essentially like a small weird jar, I don't know, that has an insatiable brood in it. The brood is actually a prime, and it's a mutant prime that, it's a mutant prime of Din that can infect. They could use it to infect a city, and they could literally like be like, yeah, we can plant that in one of the Dragon Empire cities and it will destroy that city in like, a couple of months, right? Like it'll overtake that city. So I think that could be, and I think that's going to be one of the potential quests that they could follow through next. And that could become sort of like as they get infected, they will learn more about what Din wants. And Din will learn more about what they want. And it might be like while they're getting punched in the face, there's a negotiation taking place that might stop the battle and be like, wait a minute, we all want the same thing. The question is, are the characters good with like, hey, it could hurt everybody, right? Like it's not going to just go after dragons. It's going to go after everyone. Do we feel that bad about the dragons that we want to inflict this thing on it? We have one player who would absolutely say, oh yeah, we should totally do that. But that player is not here today. So I don't think that's going to work. Treasures. Let's take a look at treasures that we did last time and see what we liked. We had a lot of treasure. So I think they got this prehistoric glass eyeball already. Some of this stuff is pretty good. We got to change that psychic shard into something else. It's too powerful for the character that's already doing a boatload of damage. We want some cash. So we're going to go to our artisanal database. We will go to our Tales of the Valiant treasure generator, available to patrons of Sly Flourish. Tier 2, bang. I forgot to fix this last time. Grab that. But we'll have moonstones. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 moonstones. Crumbling ghoulish pair of carnelian earrings, Star Touch divine gold bracelet and earring set that costs 500 gold pieces. Dust of... It's weird. Why is this out? There we go. Proclaiming gloves of swimming and climbing. Psychic shard, +1 to attack and damage. Activate for 1 minute where it does an additional d6. I think we're going to do a psychic shard. Can convert damage to psychic damage. Offers resistance to psychic damage. And has the 1 time per day. I think it could be a +1. +1 psychic shard is not bad. Psychic blast, and offers the psychic blast. But it does not offer any additional big boost to damage. 66 psychic damage. We could make it more Cone of Cold-like and make it 68 psychic. Since it doesn't do the other damage, I think boosting the damage on this isn't so bad. 68 psychic damage, and then I have like a new thing, like on a failed save, attacks have advantage until the end of your next turn. Right? So you can blast them with the psychic wave, and instead of like stunning them, it grants you advantage on your attacks against them. I kind of like that. It's sort of like a mini condition, but it doesn't like to make it completely broken. I think that would be pretty good. The player will be happy with it. It gives the player something else they can do that's spell-like. So I dig that. I think the rest of that treasure is good. The monsters are good. I got my NPC. Okay, so now the important one, the next steps. What are the next quests we're gonna do? I failed to do is any kind of character focus here. So I guess we're gonna end with the thing I should have done at the start. But I want to get the next quest. So I did my homework a little bit early. So I'm cheating a bit today that I'm not coming up with these today because I was thinking about them over the past couple of days. So break the children of Maud out of captivity at the Temple of the Blood Mages of Kanesh. That sounds really cool. Assassinate Eustakia Stonegaze or Monley of Adisha at the Sapphire Song Villa along the Ardennes River and make it look like Ibelin or Lashmarek did it. That looks like fun. And smuggle a larva of Din into Sarkland and seed a new Void Empire in Adisha's home city. We're going to talk a little bit about each of these. And we also need to think like, well, how will they get these quests? I mean, they could get them a few different ways. The smuggling, so 2 of the 3 they'll get from NPCs here. The assassinate Eustakia Stonegaze, who's a dragon or Monley dragon of Adisha, and resides at the Sapphire Song Villa along the Ardennes River. but make it look like Ibelin or Lashmarak did it. That's kind of a fun one. How would they get, so they could, who would give them that quest? I guess they could still learn it from Hazener governor named Stonegaze, who resides at a nearby villa called Sapphire's Song. The children of Mott hoped to kill this Ermanli, but were captured and given over to the blood mages of Kanesh. So now we need a secret. Man, I got so many secrets. We're going to have to do some secret triage, because now we need to know about these blood mages of Kanesh, and they are actually in Midgard. Let's go to Midgard. The blood mages of Kanesh. Blood magic is widespread in Midgard and extremely difficult to root out once its adherents gain positions of power. All those who oppose them tend to die in hideous diseases or swift-acting poisons. Of the many cults that use blood magic, the best known might be the followers of the Sanguine Path, and among wizards, many follow the vile footsteps of Targaresh, the Blood Purger. Who's that? Is there more about this Targaresh? There are 6. A wizard of unhealthy obsession. Wizard whose unhealthy obsession of blood magic is legendary. So there's a secret. That's fun. These blood mages are fun. The blood mages. 2 places in Midgard is my blood magic to discuss. Vampire ruled lands of Morgau and the ogre strongholds of Kanesh on the Ruby Sea. Holdings of the Maraudi Empire that provides the dragon folk with dependably strong and dependably stupid ogres for its armies. The Red Hand ogres make excellent. Let's see. So the blood mages create Red Hand ogres. That is probably enough lore. So they need where are the blood mages? A ooze-touched spiked asylum. That's kind of cool. The blood mages are a sect at blood mages of Kanesh, operate out of an asylum. And I think there's a fun location I haven't touched yet that's actually nearby. And that is Sayaz, outside of Sayaz. An ooze-touched, what did I say it was? Spiked asylum. I don't think we need to, I'll do it in here anyway. Outside of Sayaz, called what? Blood Spike. No. Yeah, sure. There, they sacrifice. So we could, yeah, right. So the rescuing, we said that they're rescuing the children of Mott to fuel their... A sect of blood mages of Kanesh operate out of ooze-touch spiked asylum outside of Sayaz called Blood Spike. They sacrifice children of Mott to fuel the Red Hand ogres loyal to Adasha. That's a good one. So break the children of Mott out there, assassinate, and we have the Stonegaze has a villa, smuggle a larva of Din into Sarkland, and seed a new Void Empire. So those all look good. Let's triage. Let's do some quick triage of my secrets and get rid of any ones I don't need. Some insatiable brood grow massive in size, become a chul. Followers of Din worship Father of Midnight. That's important. Adasha has an Ermanli governor named Ashia Stonegaze who resides in a nearby villa called Sapphire's Song. The children of Mott hoped to kill this Ermanli but were captured and given over to the blood mages of Kanesh. The blood mages of Kanesh follow the teachings of Targaresh, the Blood Purger, a wizard whose unhealthy obsession with the power of blood is legendary. The blood mages of Kanesh create Red Hand ogres, very powerful shock troops for the Dragon Empire. I think we can kill that one, because I'm doing that in the next. A sect of blood mages of Kanesh operate out of an ooze-touch spiked asylum outside Sayaz called Blood Spike. They sacrifice children of Mott to fuel the Red Hand ogres loyal to Adasha. Perfect. Fae folk believe the Black Goat wants to have been an elven goddess. We don't need that. Jedva Steelthorn, a wizard king of goblins, ruled over Coppervein half a millennia ago. It was he who loved the games and built the Colosseums. That's important. Jared loved his people and was interred. We don't need that anymore. It is said Jedva traveled across the lands, across the worlds with his magical helmet gifted to him from long-lost gods. Din is a Satyr Prime, a commander of Satyr and controller of the blood of the brood. Din wants to use the helm of teleportation, but it doesn't work for them. Din hopes to breed a new Satyr Prime that can use the helm. The helm itself was a beacon of the meteorite. I don't think we need to get into that. We can kill that one. Din fears extinction and fights this fear by spreading his brood to humanoids. We're going to cheat and add another sentence. Din wants to infect large cities. Din needs to infect humanoids directly, with the only reason the insatiable brood hasn't spread so far. Din has an offspring who may be able to spread the brood faster and seeks to implant it in a nearby city. Is that a dupe? If there isn't a prime Satyr host, one of the insatiable brood becomes one like Din. I think that's pretty good. And I got my locations. I got NPCs. This is, okay, so let's look at the characters. Is there any, I should have done this originally. Oh, and I'm getting my notes here. Oh, I'm on my notes. So, hey, my mom is here. Hi, Mom. So the 5 characters, Amavin, who may not be there today, is a rogue. What would, is Amavin, what would connect Amavin to things going on. Amavin, being a rogue who is familiar with the city, recognizes the value of framing one Morza against another. Understands so Gaudenzia, I think this is actually better for Cal. Well, Gaudenzia has the alien nature of Din and the satyr. Cal can calculate the spread of the satyr in a nearby city. Mateo, mechanist, celestial, probably knows about the black goat in the woods. And Rowan is the fighter, admires the games that once took place here. Okay, good. I think we're set. So I've got everything, including my next steps. And the next steps are kind of wired in, which is good. I think all three of the next steps, I have connection points in this adventure. So that is good. So we're going to go to export to PDF. This one's probably going to be pretty big. So we're going to do it 80% size to fit it on one page. Look at that. That was about right. And we print that. And we are all set. You want to see what my pretty notes look like? Oh, that didn't work. It doesn't like PDFs. I can put it down here. That's what my notes look like. One nice page ready to go. Friends, I want to thank all of you for hanging out with me today while we prepped for my game. If you enjoyed the show and you want more stuff like this from me, the best thing you can do is subscribe to the Sly Flourish newsletter. It is absolutely free to sign up. There is a link down in the show notes to do so. You get a weekly RPG-related articles sent directly to your inbox with links to all of the other stuff that I do. And you get a free adventure generator that includes a micro version of 5e embedded in it for absolutely free for signing up. You can also join the Patreon. Patrons get access to things like the 5e artisanal database, which has these location generators and all these other tools and tool sets that you can use for your game. You also get access to all kinds of different scenarios and adventures and other things. If you're a Hero Tier subscriber, you get a new campaign arc for the City of Arches called the Key of Worlds that I've been working on, or almost done with that. And you get lots of other stuff. Patrons get tons of stuff, access to our Discord server, and help support the show directly. And you can pick up any of my books at the Sly Flourish bookstore. Links for the bookstore are down below. City of Arches, Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master, Lazy DM's Companion, and more. All available to help you run awesome games for you and your friends. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and get out there and play an RPG.